Hey everyone, it's Rod with Pow Group. Welcome back on The Pursuit of Wealth. And joining me today is Hugo Alves, CEO of Auxly Cannabis Group. Welcome to the show. Thanks for taking the time, Hugo. Excited for the conversation today.
Yeah, thanks a lot, Rod. Thanks for having us. Excited to be here.
You bet, my pleasure. Well, you're one of the OGs in the space. You're a pioneer of the industry. To start, maybe just give us a little bit of your background. Could you tell us about where you're from and how you got involved into the cannabis space?
Yeah, great. So I got involved in cannabis, I guess, first as a consumer. So that's where it started, my love for the plant. And then much later in life, I was fortunate enough to have the ability to kind of marry something I was passionate about with my professional endeavors. And at the time, I was a lawyer. I was a partner at Bennett Jones law firm here in Toronto, and Mike Lickfer, who's one of the co-founders, our president, was also on my team there, and we were both very entrepreneurial. When cannabis regulation was first introduced in 2013, or what is now the Cannabis Act, the first iterations of it along the way, Mike and I decided to try and build a business around it, and we were very successful. We acted for almost everyone in the industry, and a lot of industry first transactions. The first licensing deal we acted for Snoop Dogg, the first international structures, etc. So we learned a lot along the way. And then we were working on a very unique project, and Chuck Rafici had just been appointed as the CEO of the company. I knew Chuck well from his time as a founder of Tweed and CEO of Tweed. And so he became involved in the project, and he simply, he asked me to join the team. He thought that it would be the type of business where someone with my skill set could add a lot of value. He extended the invitation to Mike as well. And the rest is history. We've been with Auxly since day one. I participated in the capital raising, the initial capital raise, and then I joined as its initial president. And for the last 5 years, I've been CEO. And all of my Mike and my team members that came along with me, we're all still here at Auxly as the executive team.
That's awesome. Well, thank you for that. Fun fact, I'm actually from Prince Edward Island, PEI, for those that don't know, Auxly Charlottetown. I visited the facility. I didn't actually go inside. I visited the site. I used to live just a couple of minutes away. Could you maybe just give us a little bit of background on that facility, why you chose PEI as a location?
Yeah, absolutely. I share your love of PEI. I lived there myself for close to a year during COVID. We acquired that facility because it was the best available licensed dealer license at the time. And, kind of go back to our regulatory background. So we knew that the licensed dealer license was eventually going to be the license that you needed to have to process and manufacture 2.0 products, vapes, edibles. So that was the starting line that we strategically were trying to position to get to. And that was what initially took us there, positioning for 2.0. But as we started to really diligence the project, and the jurisdiction, it became evident that there were lots of other advantages. One, there it is, yeah. The province was very supportive of cannabis businesses, and then something which is a lot, I think, lesser known is PEI has all this amazing talent, all these super smart people that work in biotech, that work at the National Research Center, that work as food scientists, and I think the people there are really second to none. Right. And big shout out to my Auxly Charlottetown team. They're fantastic. I think that they are one of the absolute best vape teams on the planet. And I think their track record really speaks for itself. They're innovation leaders. Right. They have had many first to market innovations, including our new all-in-one product, which is really defining the way vape consumers are enjoying their cannabis. There you go. You've got one too. Great to see the white freeze.
Love it.
Yeah, listen, so it's such a fun and enjoyable experience. We just shipped our 1 millionth unit. So they're innovation leaders. They're constantly pushing the envelope on innovation, and they're not just innovation leaders, they're quality leaders. We have the lowest failure rates for vapes in the industry. We take great pride in the quality and consistency of our hardware. And this team, they don't just know how to formulate and manufacture vapes, but everything from the storage to the shipping is really top class. They really care about our consumer. So it's been a great place to operate, and we're very grateful that we're in PEI.
No doubt. Oh, 1 million units. That's
Yeah,
crazy. It's quite an
fantastic.
achievement.
Less than a year since we launched, right?
Yeah.
It's been a fantastic achievement.
That's something you hear a lot as well when someone brings up PEI. It's always, the people, the people, the people. So I'm actually from there, and like I said, I'll be heading back. My family still lives there, so I'd love to visit the
Yeah,
site
yeah.
one
Let me
day.
know next time you
Seriously,
go. Let me know next
absolutely
time you go.
appreciate that.
Yeah.
And then in terms of facilities, what about Auxly Leamington? Is that facility at full capacity yet?
We're running it at close to full utilization, right? And we've done a lot of work there over the last 2 years on a capital light basis to really improve our yields and importantly, continually improve our quality to make sure that it's a product that we're growing exactly what consumers want. And look, again, I have to give a big shout out to my Auxly Leamington team. They're absolutely crushing it. There's the facility, beautiful. We're going to continue to push capacity and output on a capital light basis. I think with some additional capex spending, we can expand the footprint. We know that we can comfortably grow into future demand. You've got the picture on the screen. It kind of looks like an L shape there. But if you kind of look at the empty L, yeah, go up a little bit to,
Right here.
yeah, there. All of that, that is ready to go for basically a second half expansion of glass, right? And we've built out a
Okay.
lot of the infrastructure, the footings are in the ground, etc. So again, the facility sits on 100 acres of land. 30 of those acres are built out, but we can accommodate more expansion, and we can do some things on a light at capital light basis to continue to push utilization. We think Auxly Leamington, look, it's a huge competitive advantage in our current market. Yeah, we're really excited about the progress we've made there and what the future capabilities of the facility are as well.
Well, congratulations on becoming Canada's fourth largest producer. One question that I got from the community was and there's a lot of people that haven't really heard of Auxly. So for that type of person who hasn't heard of Auxly, doesn't really understand what Auxly is all about, maybe if you could just touch on your value propositions, your strategic advantages, what sort of compelling offers does Auxly bring to the cannabis industry?
Yeah, it's a great question. I think it's a great time for investors, current Auxly shareholders, or people that are looking to invest in the cannabis industry. I think it's a great time to look at Auxly. I'll give you 4 reasons. I think the first reason, maybe most obviously, is we've established that we can make products that consumers love and that we can operate successfully in a commercial market. Like you said, we're the fourth largest licensed producer by dollars. We're established leaders in our chosen categories of vape, pre-roll, and dried flower. We have one of the nation's most beloved brands in Back 40. It's the third largest brand nationally by dollars. So I think that's the first reason. We have incredible products, the consumers truly love. So we have the goods. I think the second reason is we've shown that not only can we be commercially successful, but we can do it profitably. I know you're going to cover our Q3 results, so I'm not going to dwell on them, but we've improved year over year since inception in terms of our financial performance, but we turned the corner on profitability really late last year. And we've been posting increasingly profitable results since. So I think that is the second reason. We're a commercial powerhouse, and we're sustainably profitable. So in today's challenging environment, I think that's very important. And then third reason, importantly, more macro focused, is the prevailing market trends really play into Auxly's competitive strengths and advantages. Right? If you look at our key categories, our chosen categories, vapes, dried flower, pre-rolls, that is where the growth is happening in our industry. That's well over 85% of total market. I've already discussed our incredible vape capabilities and flower capabilities. And then what I haven't touched on is there is an increasing supply shortage in the cannabis industry. I'm talking about a supply shortage of consistent, high quality, high potency flower at a great value. And that's exactly what we grow at Auxly Leamington. So there are fewer and fewer facilities that are able to do what we do at Auxly Leamington. Of course, it is a very large capital investment. It takes a long time to build a facility like Auxly Leamington. So, you know, we have a huge advantage in owning. So that is, I think, reason number 3 is from like just a macro perspective. Auxly is very well positioned to continue growing and generating increasingly profitable results, right? We're in the right categories, we have the right assets, the right capabilities to continue growing profitably. And I think lastly is we believe we're at a very attractive valuation for investors to get in or to increase their holdings. If you look at the other successful LPs in our sector, other producers that have similar success to us, they have good assets, they're posting profitable results. Our trading relative to those peers is lower. Our trading multiple, so we get penalized, and we think we know why we get penalized, because delivering consistently profitable results is important. So we have to continue doing that. And we know we have to continue improving our balance sheet to give investors more confidence. We've had a tremendous amount of success this year in improving the balance sheet. We have, as at the end of September, 54% less debt than we did as at the end of last year, by having Imperial convert $123 million into 19.9% of the equity of our company, and then continuing to pay down debt over the course of the year. So we are very focused on both those fronts, on continuing to improve the balance sheet, on continuing to deliver increasingly profitable results. We think we can accomplish them in the near term, and that will be a catalyst for share price improvement. So I think that's the final reason is, we believe the market is still very cautious about Auxly, but that we will be able to, generate these catalysts in the near term to be rewarded in market.
Absolutely. Well, there's a lot of reasons to be excited, and we touched on Auxly Leamington, we touched on Auxly Charlottetown. What can you tell us about the Quebec market? So the relationship that you have with the SQDC, how much of a focus is that market for you at the moment and going forward?
Yeah, look, we've been working very hard to get into the Quebec market. We believe that our products can play a big role in the Quebec market. It has been just this year that we've gotten in. So we now have 3 products. We started with a 0.75 pre-roll, which was a new format, and that was successful in the market. And we've now been rewarded with another 2 listings, our 10-pack of Slims, which is one of our key products, and we just released our Fire Breath flower under the Back 40 brand, and it's getting incredible consumer reviews already. So we're very excited about it, and we do think, we've been able to achieve our market standing while effectively not participating in 15% of the Canadian market. So this is a new jurisdiction for us. We look forward to working with the SQDC and being a reliable, consistent partner for them, just like we are in the rest of Canada. And we do think that Quebec is a great opportunity for us in 2025.
That's exciting. We'll jump into some financials. So you had a phenomenal and record Q3 2024 earnings results. Quick highlight, you had $33.3 million in net revenue. Net income came in at $3.2 million. My favorite was the EBITDA year over year at 6,982% growth. As you mentioned, 54% reduction in debt. You had record gross margin of 47%. What was the biggest driver behind this record performance? Was it, cutting SG&A? I know you mentioned Liquid Imagination was the #1 selling flower during the quarter. If you could just give a little bit more color on that.
Yeah, sure. I'll I think give you a little bit more macro perspective. I really think our success has been our ability to retrench our entire strategy kind of in late 2022 and really change our focus. In 2022, Auxly was the fastest growing LP, and we had about 7.4% share of market, but we're not having the financial success like we were having in market, and it was very expensive being in so many categories. So in the back half of 2022, management team worked very hard with our board to retrench our strategy and really focus on getting to sustainable profitability as quickly as we could. We focused and simplified our business. That was a big thing. We really focused all our efforts, especially our innovation efforts, on dried flower, vapes, and pre-rolls. We had some great SKUs in other categories, but we weren't great ourselves at making them. There were people that we thought could make them. We partner with them. We're still the sixth largest edible vendor in Canada, but we partner with others. We really reduced our costs. That was critical. We unlocked some operational efficiencies. We consolidated activities and facilities, and then we reduced and realigned our workforce. Like, we are a small but very mighty team now. And then we became hyper focused on gross margin and profitability as the proxy really for our success. We didn't focus as much on share of market as the indicator of how much consumers loved our products or how successful we were being. We wanted to really lean into the products that were profitable and successful for us, optimize our working capital. We brought our sales team in house, which was also a massive boost because they're out there, they're passionate about our products, just as passionate as we are. So that has also been a big help. So I think we started to implement this sort of strategy in Q4 of 2022. We were able to get some immediate momentum and generate some EBITDA profitability right away. But we were just kind of above the break-even point for the first 3 quarters of 23, as there were some costs to kind of restructuring our business. But we've continued to execute on our strategy in 24, and it's yielding tremendous results. As you said, Q3 was an all-time record quarter for Auxly, right? Like, fantastic. We improved 18% year over year in net operating revenue to 33.3 million, new all-time high for us. We're also all-time high gross margin, which really speaks to all the efficiency measures at Auxly Leamington and throughout the organization that we've implemented, and a record profitability of adjusted EBITDA of 8.3 million. And what I'm also very proud of is we managed to do all of that to increase our revenue without increasing our spend. We managed to maintain very cost discipline, did not increase SG&A. In fact, we lowered it from quarter over quarter and year over year. So, I'm very proud of the entire Auxly team. I think their resilience and their commitment to Auxly, their passion for our mission and our products, that's really enabled us to execute on a very hard strategy and turn the company around, right? One that was losing. I think we were negative 17 million in adjusted EBITDA at the end of 2022, to a company then in the first 9 months of 2024 has generated over 15 million in positive adjusted EBITDA. So it's been a really strong team effort, and I'm delighted that the team has managed to do it, and excited for the future of Auxly.
That's amazing. Yeah, small and mighty, love it. The products, they're amazing. They speak for themselves. I personally love the products, so never had a bad thing to say. So yeah, you bet.
That's great. Appreciate that.
And I wanted to just touch on excise tax real quick, because for Q3 2024, you paid 17.71 million in excise tax. You have so many other taxes on top of that, right? You got payroll tax, you got property taxes, list goes on. And then, like you say, if there's any left over, you got income taxes. But, a third of your revenue, how important do you think that is that the government address this? We've been hearing rumblings that we're going to see it switch from a flat fee to a percentage fee. Have you heard anything? Have you been talking to the Canadian government about that? How important do you think that it is that the government make this change?
Look, I think excessive fees and taxation are by far the biggest challenge for Auxly and for every producer. I think they're the biggest challenge to the very viability and success of the regulated industry. Right? All of that being said, I haven't modeled any rate changes in kind of our strategic thinking or our financial planning. There are lots of well-known challenges in our industry, right? Fierce competition. We've got 3,700 new SKUs just in 2024 alone. So it's fiercely competitive. The illicit market is a fierce competitor, right? And we can't compete with them effectively. We can't offer the same products. Regulation is very, very tight. I'm not allowed to communicate directly with my consumer. But despite all of those challenges, excessive taxation, fees, and markets, I think markups are, in my view, the biggest structural challenge. And it's not just excise tax, as you say, that gets the biggest spotlight, but
Right.
we pay 2.3% of our gross revenue in an annual regulatory fee to Health Canada. Many of the provincial wholesalers impose additional fees and markups. And then, as you mentioned, in addition to all of that, I've got all of the regular taxes, property tax, payroll tax, etc. So we are in a very high tax environment, and Auxly's committed to working with our government stakeholders to ensure that we continue to improve the regulated industry, and that includes the sort of better tax policy, because these excessive fees and taxation, like, these are a gift to the illicit market, right? They make the regulated market weaker and the illicit market stronger. So I think that broad-based reform, is something that happens over time. But it has been refreshing to see governments, provincial governments in particular, start to take some steps to use some of those sort of proceeds from the excise tax and from provincial taxes to do things like increase enforcement efforts. You see, Ontario just recently announced 31 million over 3 years. And importantly, it's not just about enforcement, it's about public awareness and education. So, also tip of the hat to the Ontario and Alberta provincial governments for using some of the proceeds recently to run public awareness campaigns to educate the public on the dangers of the illicit market and how to tell illicit from regulated products apart. So I think it was a good start, but I think, we need a lot more. We need a lot more, and absolutely we need to start looking at overall tax policy and whether or not it is helping or hurting the objectives of the Cannabis Act. And I think under its current iteration, it's hurting those objectives.
I agree. So you haven't heard anything, you're not aware of any timelines or anything like that at the moment?
No. I think, as I said, we haven't modeled any of that into our thinking. I think that tax policy is something that takes time, but again, I don't think it's just tax. I think that annual regulatory fees, I think other fees, and the administration, the way the excise tax regime is set up, can also be improved, right? If we went to a single stamp instead of a stamp for every province, if we went to a digital stamp instead of having to buy these little stamps and lick them on and peel them off, it would save the industry millions a year and make it a lot more efficient and lose nothing to federal and provincial coffers. So I think there's a lot that can be done to improve, but it's a process that takes time.
Gotcha. Appreciate that. And we'll switch over to the going concern. So there was, and there has been for quite some time now, a going concern. A lot of it has to do, like we've seen multiple different media outlets saying that cash is a concern for Auxly, and hence the going concern and why it's there in the first place. Cash at the quarter end was 18.957 million versus 2023. It was up considerably from the same period in 2023. It was 8.672 million. Are you worried about your cash or overall financial position? Maybe if you could touch on the going concern and what to expect in terms of that.
Yeah, sure. As I mentioned, we've worked really hard over the year to strengthen our balance sheet. 54% less debt compared to the end of 23, and we've accomplished that through working with Imperial Brands, and they supported us with a big conversion of $123 million of debt into 19.9% of the equity of Auxly. We also repaid our standby convertible debenture facility. That was about 6.2 million as at the end of August. And we've worked with all of our lenders to successfully extend our remaining facilities. So we've done a lot of work, but the going concern note is still on our statements because the nature of our liabilities are short term. So, we not only need to think about the next immediate quarter, but what's happening kind of in the next year or so. And that has made us cautious because we don't want to take the going concern note off and then have to put it again. We want to permanently fix the problem. And we're, as I mentioned, we're getting close. We're committed to making continued improvements in 2025, whether that's through conversion, whether that's through repayment or refinancing. and continued balance sheet improvement is a key executive team target. So I'm confident that we'll achieve it, and that we'll eventually get the note off. But it is something that we want to make sure once it's off forever.
That makes a lot of sense. Another topic that came up, I know you're a recently profitable company. In some investor groups, shout out to the investors with regards to buybacks. That's something we've seen other companies do it. Like I said, I know you're a newly profitable company. Maybe if you could give some insight into, is this something that we could expect from Auxly in the foreseeable future?
Sure. So, I mean, we assess all options available to us to, advance our strategic goals and enhance shareholder value. So we'll continue to look at all available options. I think where we are now, you mentioned we're a recently profitable company. We've been profitable for around a year, a little under a year. We're also a company that has a balance sheet which is leveraged. So I think we're always analyzing where's the highest value use of our dollars, and that has got to address not only debt repayment but also financing growth. As we continue to grow, it costs more money. You pay more in
Right.
excise tax, you have to buy more packaging, etc. So I think it is an option we'll continue to assess, but for the foreseeable future, I think we have to focus on fixing our balance sheet, because we think that's what unlocks the sort of next level of investor confidence in Auxly, is to get the going concern note off and have a properly leveraged balance sheet. So that would be our priority.
Perfect. And you mentioned Imperial Brands owning roughly, it was 19.9%, right?
Correct. Yeah.
How important is this partnership, and what value do they bring to the table? Is it mainly the vape technology? If you could discuss your relationship with Imperial and, like I said, what they bring to the table.
Yeah. So, I mean, Imperial's been a great partner to Auxly. They gave us, as I mentioned, incredible support this year, with a big conversion at a massive premium to market. And look, I think they believe that cannabis is a very strong future opportunity for them. They believe in the Auxly team and what we're building. We speak with them very regularly, and we ask them for support, everything from insights to introductions, know-how, and we're always very well received. They're always helpful. And we see them as a big part of our future story, right? Our vision, I think, our vision is to be a global leader. And I think Imperial is a global leader. They're one of the largest global fast-moving consumer goods companies. And I think, they are present in all of the large emerging markets. Their core markets are the UK, Australia, Germany, the US. I always have to remind myself we're at the forefront of a brand new global industry. We've been selling products as a company for less than 5 years. But we do see them as a big part of the future opportunity for Auxly, and believe that once we get into an international jurisdiction, and can leverage some of their capabilities there, it'll be to our advantage.
That's great. Well, yeah, like you said, we're still in the first inning, early days for sure. You
That's right. Yeah.
mentioned some of those important markets that they operate in, and on the topic of international. One of the questions when I reached out to the community, probably one of the most popular ones, was what are your plans internationally? So think Germany, the US, we have, imminent rescheduling. There's talks about delisting from the CSA, so descheduling. If you could just kind of give us, for the investors that are wondering, your international expansion plans. Are you looking at the US? Are you looking at Germany? Maybe if you could give some color on that as well, please.
Yeah, absolutely. So I think, our starting premise has always been there's got to be a reason to believe that you can win away from home, right? And
Right.
that reason to believe is you're winning at home. And I think we've shown that we can do that. We've shown that we make products that consumers love, and we know how to operate profitably in the consumer market. So I think we've checked that box. And there is increasing demand for our flower in other parts of the world. And we've been cautious until now, and we'll continue to be cautious, because we're focused on profitability and we're focused on increasingly profitable results. And when you're in that mindset, it's tough to take a risk with inventory by shipping it overseas when there is ample demand at great prices with counterparties that we trust and no risk on payment here domestically. But we have been doing our homework. We have been having lots of conversations, and we're going to intensify our efforts here in 2025 to participate in the increasingly global opportunity for Auxly.
Awesome. And then in terms of like GMP, EU GMP, is that something that you have set up already or you're pursuing? Does the facilities, do they offer that capability at the moment?
All of our facilities were built to the highest standard with a view to meeting international regulations. So those are strategic options that we're exploring right now. We're very confident that we can get EU certification at any of our facilities. We're also very confident that we can work with other partners. We do it in other aspects of our business to leverage some of their capabilities.
Okay, cool. Yeah, one thing we're really starting to see in the Canadian landscape is the differentiation of these companies, right? So you've got at the beginning everybody was trying to be everything to everybody, and now you've got your select few companies. Some are focusing on one area of the industry and focusing on picking a few different areas and being really good at that, right? Versus trying to focus on the whole industry at large, right? So it's exciting.
Yeah, that's right. And I think we saw the impact of that focus in our business, right? Like bringing that focus to our business allowed us to go from being really good at something to being truly great at it. And we've seen that improvements in quality, improvement in, our innovation success. So I fully agree with that statement.
And with the emergence of hemp-derived products, so we've been seeing a lot of companies, kind of position themselves to take advantage of that market. Is that something that Auxly has been considering in the US with that, permissible under the farm? I know the farm bill could potentially be amended, but is that something that's on your radar at all?
I'm watching what's happening. It's been fascinating to see the HD9 drinks get traction in mainstream alcohol channels. Like that's the interesting part about it, distribution through the mainstream channels. But again, like something we're watching, but it's not a priority, and something dramatic would have to change for us to, allocate focus and resources to it.
Fair enough. And you mentioned competition. How much consolidation do you think is still needed in this space with, I think there's over 1,000 licensed producers, LPs in Canada. How much do you think consolidation is still needed? Do you think we're still going to see, a wave of M&A activity?
I think we're seeing some, predominantly through CCAA, right?
Right.
A combination through a merger is harder because there's a distinct lack of capital in our industry right now, which makes it all the more important to be profitable. So, companies that have cash, they really, they're very reluctant to part with it, and valuations are depressed, so it also adds additional challenges. We're actually seeing consolidation happen a little bit faster at retail, but we do believe that it is going to be part of the market. I mean, you mentioned it. There's 1,000 LPs. There's no other industry that has like 1,000 strong players in it. So I think we will see it, and we'll start to see transactions of some significance, right? Like as companies become more stable and they're good companies on their own, they will combine for accretive strategic reasons as opposed to just being bigger, right? So, but I think it will be a facet of our market.
And not sure how much you can expose in your playbook, but has Auxly been eyeing any other companies, or have you considered buying another licensed producer here in Canada?
We're always assessing the market, right? Like we're focused on achieving our strategic goals and in our vision. So anything that can advance those, we're open to considering, and that would include doing accretive M&A. So yes, we would consider it, but look, we're going to be very cautious about it, and it has to be the right strategic fit.
100%. And to flip that around, has Auxly received any calls from any other companies? Like, do you think Auxly's a target?
Look, we don't have a goal of being an acquisition target. We're very focused on our strategic goals and our vision. So we'll consider any opportunity that advances those things, but everyone in Auxly management, on our board, we're committed and passionate about Auxly. I think, we believe in our ability to meet our strategic goals. We think we have incredible assets, the best assets, incredible products, incredible team, and we're committed to winning. So we're very excited about the future of Auxly and celebrating many more milestones with our team and our shareholders.
And like you said, you're recently profitable, still cleaning up the balance sheet, right? So kind of crawl, walk.
We're just getting started, right?
Yeah.
Lots of room to keep going.
Yeah. And then another question that was very popular. What about uplisting to a U.S. major exchange? Like I know the share price has been beaten down, so probably something I would think that once the share price increases. But has that been something that Auxly has been looking at or kind of discussing internally?
Again, we assess all options to increase our position, and that would include discussions about uplisting. It's a discussion that it's something we assess regularly. It's not a priority for us right now.
Gotcha. That's helpful. And then last but not least, I know you recently implemented the shareholder letter that you're doing quarterly, and
That's right.
you suspended the conference calls, those analyst calls. Are you discussing that internally about resuming those conference calls? Maybe if you could give us some insight into that as well.
Yeah, look, we suspended them in 2023 as we were starting to implement there's a shareholder letters, we were starting to implement our turnaround strategy. Yes, I think short answer, we want to resume the conference calls, right? One of our goals this year has been to increase communication with our shareholders. I've started to implement a letter to shareholders where I release it quarterly, shortly after our results, where I want to provide some additional color on the quarterly results and also what we're seeing in market and how Auxly is positioning itself to respond. My hope is that it gives me an ability to speak more directly to shareholders.
Exciting times, yeah. And just for anybody that wasn't aware, I myself didn't know you were doing the quarterly shareholder letters. So if you go to auxly.com, hover over investors, financials, and filings, it's just right underneath the MD&A and financial statements you see here, and we can utilize those until the conference calls hopefully resume at one point someday.
Yeah, we hope to bring it back shortly, right? We hope to bring it back shortly.
Awesome. Well, that's all I had for questions. Is there anything that any closing remarks you would like to leave investors with today, Hugo?
Yeah, look, Rod, I think I want to thank shareholders for their support. Their support has been critical to getting us to where we are today, and their support is more important than ever. I already outlined, I think we've got great reasons to believe in Auxly. We're a proven market leader. We're sustainably profitable. We're uniquely positioned to continue to grow and deliver increasingly profitable results. And we think we're at a great valuation now with near-term catalysts that we can achieve to improve our share price. So whether you're an existing shareholder or an investor looking to get into cannabis, take a close look at Auxly, and we hope that we can get you on board for what we believe is a very bright and exciting future.
Well, listen, Hugo, thank you very much for your time today. I know you're busy. I really appreciate you coming on.
Thanks for having me, Rod.
I had a blast. Yeah, that was a lot of fun. So thank you, and hopefully we can have you on again sometime in the future.
Yeah, for sure. Take care. Thank you very much.
Thank you. My pleasure. Have a great night.